Dame Emma Thompson DB is a British actress, screenwriter, activist, author, and comedian. One of Britain's most acclaimed actresses, she often portrays enigmatic and matronly characters with a sense of wit, frequently in period dramas and literary adaptations. She is the recipient of numerous accolades, including 2 Academy Awards, a Primetime Emmy Award, 3 BAFTA Awards, and 2 Golden Globe Awards.
Born in London to English actor Eric Thompson and Scottish actress Phyllida Law, Thompson was educated at Newnham College, University of Cambridge, where she became a member of the Footlights troupe. After appearing in several comedy programs, she came to prominence in 1987 in 2 BBC TV series, Tutti Frutti and Fortunes of War, winning the BAFTA TV Award for Best Actress for her work in both series. Her first film role was in the 1989 romantic comedy The Tall Guy. In the early 1990s, she often collaborated with her then-husband, actor and director Kenneth Branagh. The pair became popular in the British media and co-starred in several films, including Dead Again and Much Ado About Nothing.
In 1992, Thompson won an Academy Award and a BAFTA Award for Best Actress for the period drama Howard's End. In 1993, she garnered dual Academy Award nominations for her roles in The Remains of the Day as the housekeeper of the Grand Household and In the Name of the Father as a lawyer. Thompson scripted and starred in Sense and Sensibility, which earned her numerous awards, including an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, which makes her the only person to receive Academy Awards for both acting and writing, and a BAFTA Award for Best Actress. In 2013, she received acclaim and several award nominations for her portrayal of author P.L. Travers in Saving Mr. Banks. Other notable film and television credits include the Harry Potter film series, Wit, Love Actually, Angels in America, Nanny McPhee, Stranger Than Fiction, Last Chance Harvey, Men in Black 3, and the sequel Men in Black, International, Brave, Beauty and the Beast, Late Night, and the BBC/HBO series Years and Years.
Thompson is married to actor Greg Wise, with whom she lives in London. They have 1 daughter. She is an activist in the areas of human rights and environmentalism and has received criticism for her outspokenness. She has written 2 books adapted from the tale of Peter Rabbit. She was appointed a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in the 2018 Birthday Honours by Elizabeth II for her services to drama.
Thompson was born in Paddington, London, on the 15th of April, 1959. Her mother is the Scottish actress Phyllida Law, while her English father, Eric Thompson, was involved in theatre and was the writer-narrator of the popular children's television series The Magic Roundabout. Her godfather was the director and writer Ronald Eyre. She has 1 sister, Sophie Thompson, who also works as an actress. The family lived in West Hampstead in North London, and Thompson was educated at Camden School for Girls. She spent much time in Scotland during her childhood and often visited Ardentony, where her grandparents and uncle lived.
In her youth, Thompson was intrigued by language and literature, a trait which she attributes to her father, who shared her love of words. After successfully taking A-levels in English, French and Latin, and securing a scholarship, she began studying for an English degree at Newnham College, Cambridge, arriving in 1977. Thompson believes that it was inevitable that she would become an actress, commenting that she was surrounded by creative people and I don't think it would ever have gone any other way, really. While there, she had a seminal moment that turned her to feminism and inspired her to take up performing. She explained in an interview in 2007 how she discovered the book The Madwoman in the Attic, which is about Victorian female writers and the disguises they took on in order to express what they wanted to express. That completely changed my life. She became a self-professed punk rocker, with short red hair and a motorbike, and aspired to be a comedian like Lily Tomlin.
At Cambridge, Thompson was invited into Footlights, the university's prestigious sketch comedy troupe, by its president, Martin Birdman, becoming its first female member. Also in the troupe were fellow actors Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, and she had a romantic relationship with the latter. Fry recalled that there was no doubt that Emma was going the distance. Our nickname for her was Emma Talented. In 1980, Thompson served as the vice president of Footlights and co-directed the troupe's first all-female revue, Woman's Hour. The following year, Thompson and her Footlights team won the Perrier Award at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe for their sketch show The Sellotapes. Thompson graduated with upper second-class honours.
In 1982, Thompson's father died as a result of circulatory problems at the age of 53. The actress has commented that this tore to pieces, and I can't begin to tell you how much I regret his not being around. She added, at the same time, it's possible that were he still alive I might never have had the space or courage to do what I've done. I have a definite feeling of inheriting space and power.
Thompson had her first professional role in 1982, touring in a stage version of Not the 9 O'Clock News. She then turned to television, where much of her early work came with her Footlights co-stars Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. The regional ITV comedy series There's Nothing to Worry About was their first outing, followed by the one-off BBC show The Crystal Cube. There's Nothing to Worry About later returned as the network's sketch show Al Fresco, which ran for 2 series with Thompson, Fry, Laurie, Ben Elton, and Robbie Coltrane. She later collaborated again with Fry and Laurie on the acclaimed BBC Radio 4 series Saturday Night Fry.
In 1985, Thompson was cast in the West End revival of the musical Me and My Girl, co-starring Robert Lindsay. It provided a breakthrough in her career, as the production earned rave reviews. She played the role of Sally Smith for 15 months, which exhausted the actress. She later remarked, I thought if I did the fucking Lambeth walk one more time I was going to fucking throw up. At the end of 1985, she wrote and starred in her own one-off special for Channel 4, Emma Thompson, Up for Grabs.
Thompson achieved another breakthrough in 1987, when she had leading roles in 2 television miniseries, Fortunes of War, a World War II drama co-starring Kenneth Branagh, and Tutti Frutti, a dark comedy about a Scottish rock band with Robbie Coltrane. For these performances, Thompson won the British Academy Television Award for Best Actress. The following year, she wrote and starred in her own sketch comedy series for BBC, Thompson, but this was poorly received. In 1989, she and Branagh, who had formed a romantic relationship, starred in a stage revival of Look Back in Anger, directed by Judah Dench and produced by Branagh's Renaissance Theatre Company. Later that year, the pair starred in a televised version of the play.
Thompson's first cinema appearance came in the romantic comedy The Tall Guy, the feature film debut from screenwriter Richard Curtis. It starred Jeff Goldblum as a West End actor, and Thompson played the nurse with whom he falls in love. The film was not widely seen, but Thompson's performance was praised in the New York Times, where Karen James called her an exceptionally versatile comic actress. She next turned to Shakespeare, appearing as Princess Catherine in Brandau's screen adaptation of Henry V. The film was released to great critical acclaim.
Thompson and Branagh are considered by American writer and critic James Monaco to have led the British cinematic onslaught in the 1990s. She continued to experiment with Shakespeare in the new decade, appearing with Branagh in his stage productions of A Midsummer Night's Dream and King Lear. Reviewing the latter, the Chicago Tribune praised her extraordinary performance of the hobbling, stooped hunchbacked fool. Thompson returned to cinema in 1991, playing a frivolous aristocrat in Impromptu with Judy Davis and Hugh Grant. And Thompson was nominated for Best Supporting Female at the Independent Spirit Awards. Her second release of 1991 was another pairing with Branagh, who also directed, in the Los Angeles-based Noi Dead Again. She played a woman who has forgotten her identity. Early in 1992, Thompson had a guest role in an episode of Cheers as Frasier Crane's first wife.
A turning point in Thompson's career came when she was cast opposite Anthony Hopkins and Vanessa Redgrave in the Merchant Ivory period drama Howard's End, based on the novel by E.M. Forster. The film explored the social class system in Edwardian England, with Thompson playing an idealistic, intellectual, forward-looking woman who comes into association with a privileged and deeply conservative family. She actively pursued the role by writing to director James Ivory, who agreed to an audition and then gave her the part. According to the critic Vincent Canby, the film allowed Thompson to into her own, away from Branagh. Upon release, Roger Ebert wrote that she was superb in the central role, quiet, ironic, observant, with steel inside. Howard's End was widely praised, a surprise hit, and received 9 Academy Award nominations. Among its 3 wins was the Best Actress trophy for Thompson, who was also awarded a Golden Globe and BAFTA for her performance. Reflecting on the role, the New York Times writes that the actress found herself an international success almost overnight.
For her next 2 films, Thompson returned to working with Branagh. In Peter's Friends, the pair starred with Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Imelda Staunton, and Tony Slattery as a group of Cambridge alumni who reunited 10 years after graduating. The comedy was positively reviewed. Anderson Howe of The Washington Post wrote that Thompson was its highlight. Even as a rather one-dimensional character, she exudes grace and an adroit sense of comic tragedy. She followed this with Branagh's screen version of Much Ado About Nothing. The couple starred as Beatrice and Benedict, alongside a cast that also included Denzel Washington, Keanu Reeves, and Michael Keaton. Thompson was widely praised for the on-screen chemistry with Branagh and the natural ease with which she played the role, marking another critical success for Thompson. Her performance earned a nomination for Best Female Lead at the Independent Spirit Awards.
Thompson reunited with Merchant Ivory and Anthony Hopkins to film The Remains of the Day, a film which has been described as a classic and the production team's definitive film. Based on Kazuo Ishigiro's novel about a housekeeper and butler in interwar Britain, the story is acclaimed for its study of loneliness and repression, though Thompson was particularly interested in looking at the deformity that servitude inflicts upon people, since her grandmother had worked as a servant and made many sacrifices. She has named the film as one of the greatest experiences of her career, considering it to be a masterpiece of withheld emotion. The Remains of the Day was a critical and commercial success, receiving 8 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture and a second Best Actress nod for Thompson.
Along with her Best Actress nomination at the 66th Academy Awards, Thompson was also nominated in the Best Supporting Actress category, making her the 8th performer in history to be nominated for 2 Oscars in the same year. It came for her role as the lawyer Gareth Percy in The Name of the Father, a drama about the Guildford Four starring Daniel Day-Lewis. The film was her second hit of the year, earning $65 million in critical praise, and was nominated for Best Picture along with The Remains of the Day.
In 1994, Thompson made her Hollywood debut playing a goofy doctor alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in the blockbuster Junior. Although the male pregnancy storyline was poorly received by most critics and flopped at the box office, Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle praised the lead trio. She returned to independent cinema for a lead role in Carrington, which studied the platonic relationship between artist Dora Carrington and writer Livin Strachey. Roger Ebert remarked that Thompson had developed a specialty in unrequited love, and the TV Guide Film and Video Companion commented that her near-aesthetic mannerisms, which usually drive us batty, are appropriate here.
Thompson's Academy success continued with Sense and Sensibility, generally considered to be the most popular and authentic of the numerous film adaptations of Jane Austen's novels made in the 1990s. Thompson, a lifelong lover of Austen's work, was hired to write the film based on the period sketches in her series Thompson. She spent 5 years developing the screenplay, and took the role of the spinster sister Eleanor Dashwood despite, at age 35, being 16 years older than the literary character. Directed by Ang Lee and co-starring Kate Winslet, Sense and Sensibility received widespread critical praise and ranks among the highest-grossing films of Thompson's career. Shelley Frome remarked that she displayed a great affinity for Jane Austen's style and wit, and Graham Fuller of Sight and Sound saw her as the film's auteur. Thompson received a 3rd nomination for Best Actress and won the award for Best Adapted Screenplay, making her the only person in history to win an Oscar for both acting and screenwriting. She also earned a 2nd BAFTA award for Best Actress and a Golden Globe Award for Best Screenplay.
Thompson was absent from screens in 1996, but returned the following year with Alan Rickman's directorial debut, The Winter Guest. Set over one day in a Scottish seaside village, the drama allowed Thompson and her mother to play mother and daughter on screen. She then returned to America to appear in an episode of Ellen, and her self-parodying performance received a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series.
For her 2nd Hollywood role, Thompson starred with John Travolta in Mike Nichols' Primary Colors, playing a couple based on Bill and Hillary Clinton. Thompson's character, Susan, is described as that of an ambitious, long-suffering wife who has to deal with her husband's infidelity. The film was critically well received but lost money at the box office. According to Kevin O'Sullivan of the Daily Mirror, Americans were blown away by her performance and accent, and top Hollywood producers became increasingly interested in casting her. Thompson rejected many of the offers, expressing concerns about living in Los Angeles behind walls with bodyguards, and stated LA is lovely as long as you know you can leave. She also admitted to feeling tired and jaded with the industry at this point, which influenced her decision to leave film for a year. Thompson followed primary colors by playing an FBI agent opposite Rickman in the poorly received thriller Judas Kiss.
When she became a mother in 1999, Thompson made a conscious decision to reduce her workload, and in the following years many of her appearances were supporting roles. She was not seen on screen again until 2000, with only a small part in the British comedy Maybe Baby, which she appeared in as a favor to its director, her friend Ben Elton.
For the HBO television film Wit, however, Thompson happily took the lead role in what she felt was one of the best scripts to have come out of America. Adapted from Margaret Ebsen's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, it focuses on a self-sufficient Harvard University professor who finds her values challenged when she is diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Thompson was instrumental in bringing Mike Nichols to direct the project, and the pair spent months in rehearsal to get the complex character right. She was greatly drawn to the daredevil role, for which she had no qualms about shaving her head. Reviewing the performance, Roger Ebert was touched by the way she struggles with every ounce of her humanity to keep her self-respect, and in 2008 he called it Thompson's finest work. Karen James of the New York Times also described it as one of her most brilliant performances, adding, "We seem to be peering into a soul as embattled as its body." The film earned Thompson nominations at the Golden Globes, Emmys and Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Thompson's only credit of 2002 was a vocal performance in Disney's Treasure Planet, an adaptation of Treasure Island, where she voiced Captain Amelia. The animation earned far less than its large budget and was considered a box office disaster. This failure was countered the following year by one of Thompson's biggest commercial successes, Richard Curtis's romantic comedy Love Actually. As part of an ensemble cast that included Liam Neeson, Keira Knightley, and Colin Firth, she played a middle-class wife who suspects her husband of infidelity. The scene in which her stalwart character breaks down was described by one critic as the best crying on screen ever, and in 2013, Thompson mentioned that she gets commended for this role more than any other. She explained, "I've had so much bloody practice at crying in a bedroom than having to go out and be cheerful, gathering up the pieces of my heart and putting them in a drawer." Her performance received a BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Thompson continued with supporting roles in the 2003 drama Imagining Argentina, where she played a dissident journalist abducted by the country's 1970s dictatorial regime. Antonio Banderas played the husband who tries to find her, in a film that most critics disliked. The film was booed and jeered when it was screened at the Venice Film Festival and received a scathing article in The Guardian. Thompson had greater success that year when she worked with HBO for a second time in the acclaimed miniseries Angels in America. The show, also featuring Al Pacino and Meryl Streep, dealt with the AIDS epidemic in Reagan-era America. Thompson played 3 roles: a nurse, a homeless woman, and the title role of the Angel of America, and was again nominated for an Emmy Award. In 2004, she played the eccentric divination teacher Sybil Trelawney in the 3rd Harry Potter film, The Prisoner of Azkaban, her character described as a hippie chick professor who teaches fortune-telling. She later reprised her role in The Order of the Phoenix and The Deathly Hallows Part 2, and has called her time on the popular franchise great fun.
The year 2005 saw the release of a project Thompson had been working on for 9 years. Loosely based on the Nurse Matilda stories that she read as a child, Thompson wrote the screenplay for the children's film Nanny McPhee, which centers on a mysterious, unsightly nanny who must discipline a group of children. She also took the lead role, alongside Colin Firth and Angela Lansbury, in what was a highly personal project. The film was a success, taking number 1 at the UK box office and earning $122 million worldwide. Commenting on Thompson's screenplay, film critic Claudia Puig wrote that its well-worn storybook features are woven effectively into an appealing tale of youthful empowerment. The following year, Thompson appeared in the surreal American comedy drama Stranger Than Fiction, playing a novelist whose latest character is a real person who hears her narration in his head. Reviews for the film were generally favorable.
Following a brief, uncredited role in the post-apocalyptic blockbuster I Am Legend, Thompson played the devoutly Catholic Lady Marchmain in a 2008 film adaptation of Brideshead Revisited. Critics were unenthusiastic about the film, but several picked Thompson out as its highlight. Mark Kermode said Emma Thompson is to some extent becoming the new Judi Dench, as the person who kind of comes in for 15 minutes and is brilliant. When she goes away, the rest of the movie has a real problem living up to the wattage of her presence. Thompson was further acclaimed for her work in the London-based romance Last Chance Harvey, where she and Dustin Hoffman played a lonely, middle-aged pair who cautiously begin a relationship. Critics praised the chemistry between the two leads, and both received Golden Globe nominations for their performances. Thompson's two 2009 films were both set in 1960s England, and in both she made cameo appearances, as a headmistress in the critically praised drama An Education and as a tippling mother in Richard Curtis's The Boat That Rocked.
5 years after the original, Thompson returned to Nanny McPhee with 2010's Nanny McPhee and The Big Bang. Her screenplay transported the story to Britain during World War II. Building on the first film's success, it was another UK box office #1 and the sequel was widely seen as an improvement. The same year, Thompson reunited with Alan Rickman for the BBC television film The Song of Lunch, which focused on two unnamed characters meeting at a restaurant 15 years after ending their relationship. Thompson's performance earned her a 4th Emmy Award nomination.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.